Hey, welcome back to another episode of Not Another BL Podcast. And once again, this is our weekly dive into Only Friends, and we're doing episode 7 today. And I am Shannon, BL Gossip Girl, and I'm on all the social platforms. I'm just there, hanging out. Hi, guys. Hey.
And I'm Heatherly, Red is Trying on all social platforms.
And I am BL Chef Kelly, same, all social platforms.
Yeah, just like round it out.
Yes.
What was I going to say? So this week's episode was something. Do we want to do a recap again? Would anyone like to do a recap?
I watched it yesterday, so my brain can't remember everything. Can you do it, Heatherly, you think? Or
I mean, I don't think I can ever live up to the one from last week, but
I don't think I can either.
I don't know. It's hard to recap this one, but I mean, we got Ray in the hospital, Stan taking care of him,
I forgot about
meeting the dad. That
Hmm.
was a thing. Then we got Top and Boston confronting. Well, Top confronting Boston. We had Boston confronting Nick about everything. We had what was next?
Mew and Chom.
Oh yeah, Mew and Chom, little sad
yeah.
party there. That was
Mm-hmm.
that was before the confrontations. That's right.
Yep.
And then we got um,
Mew and Top with the lighter.
was that was that
Oh
that
God,
was that
yeah.
next?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was next. And then Mew with Nick, right? No, Nick leaving or trying to move out of Stan's apartment and them having a little moment. Then Mew and Nick and Mew turned into an interesting person to get things from Gap. And then we got the confrontation of Mew and Boston. Wait, was
It
the
doesn't have
fight
to be
in the
perfect
pool?
order.
No, was the fight in the pool? When was that?
Mew confronts Boston first.
Yeah.
No. They have the fight in the pool first, and then he shows up at Boston's
Yeah.
house because no one's talking to Boston.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I don't remember. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
It was a whole day
no, the
ago.
fight in the pool had to come first because the thing with the dad was happening towards the end because that was so
Because look,
much.
That was right at the end.
Yeah. Oof. There's a lot. There's a lot. I don't know. There's a lot of little things.
yeah.
It was.
The filming style of this one was so disorienting.
It was, but I know it's on purpose. I feel like it was
Yeah.
like meant to be that way, but also like it threw me so off kilter. It kept me on edge the entire episode, and I saw so many people say the same thing. They were uncomfortable. They were on edge. Everyone felt like, "What the hell is this? What's happening? Where are we?" But I know that's exactly what they wanted to make us feel. So good job, but also cut it out.
Yeah. I felt always on edge and I knew that was on purpose, but it was like the way like even just trying to describe all the things, it was such tiny clips of everything that was happening that I was like, there was a lot, but it was a lot of little things. Like how do I just do like a round out? Basically, it's Mew's revenge plot. It was the theme of this show.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say it could have been better. Mew.
Well, so I did. It was interesting talking to other people about this and their takes on it, and which I don't know why I reject this so wholeheartedly. It makes me angry even to say it. But they're like, "Well, Mew's a good person, so he's not going to do anything."
Sorry.
With it, I'm just saying this is
No, I
what
know.
was said to explain to me why this happened. Why? Because I was like, "What a cop out! You did all of that, and then at the end, you didn't do anything." But it is it is that the way Chaos was saying it. So Chaos and sincerely put it like at the end, he's not going to go that far. That's his whole thing, right? I'm going to tell it all, and then you can, because this is, I want to get their ideas out. So they're saying, I'm a good person. I would never like really go as far as you, is the way Sincerely described it. And then Chaos said that's another part of his manipulative control over everyone. His lording over everyone is like, look at how much better I am at you. But if I could, I would. So the way Chaos described it, I was like, oh, he was like, because do you, and it didn't dawn on me until Chaos was describing it. She said, or they said, he had Boston on his knees. Of everyone in this show, he had Boston groveling at his feet. And that was all he needed. Like that was the, and he needed him on notice to say, I got you, I own you. And when she put it that way, I was just, I don't know their pronouns. When they put it that way, I was like, oh, because I was like, good person, my ass. Not doing this. I'm not falling into the same love of Mew that Mew tries to get his friends to fall into. I just reject it. I reject it. Okay, I'm done now. It's really making me mad. This whole like, oh, he's so good and kind. I'm like, no, he's not. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, because there was multiple moments in there where Mew, to justify what he was doing or to justify like how he felt or all this stuff, he let people believe things about Ray and about Boston that wasn't actually correct. So like Chom, when she's like, oh Ray, I was mad at you for this, but now that I know you were trying to tell Mew about Top, like I get it. No one corrected her that Mew already knew. He knew Ray was just being a dick.
Ray's face when he's like, wait, and she's like, yeah, you were just trying to protect Top, and Ray's face was like, that was not what that was. But
yeah,
okay, like he's not gonna deny it because it keeps him as a good guy. But he was like, his face was like, that's not.
It bothered me so much that Ray was getting such a pass.
Oh my god, it was possibly one of the most frustrating. It was so frustrating.
I was like, and social media too. He's getting a pass there too. I was like, they're really the same manipulation tools they use in this show are working in real life. And I need to know if like they're really meant to be. I need to know. I just need to know. Do I just see these people as what is the intent behind these characters? Because I'm getting worked up about it at this point.
No, but I kind of feel the same as Ray. I made the comment when I was watching it in the beginning when he's in the hospital and his dad comes in, guns blazing, and is pissed. And is like, how many times have I had to tell you? He's like, how many times have I do this? And then Ray even is like, my dad wants me to get into rehab. And I've said, I'm like, we are years into this behavior from Ray, and everyone around him is over it. They're done because he has drained them and he doesn't care about himself. So that was something Sand said. He's like, you have to love yourself.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes, because none of these people, it is exhausting to love someone and care for someone and try and step in and help them all this stuff when they don't care enough about themselves to do the same or to even attempt it or to acknowledge that this is like something they should be working on, because we all can't just do, but there is a level of Ray just does not like himself, and it
hurts everyone. Even that, to me, what he said to his dad was such a low blow. And I think people were ready to cast his dad as a bad guy. And maybe his dad isn't perfect. I'm so done with this good guy, bad guy BS conversation around these people.
I personally felt like the dad cares about him a lot. He just doesn't know how to handle him. Or or what to do. Like, I don't know if it's like he doesn't know what to do at this point, or he just never knew what to do with him, kind of thing. But like I understood being mad at the dad for being like, for coming in and complaining about the car when
Yeah.
he was in the hospital. Like, I understand being mad at the dad about that, but I was like, you also don't understand that he literally just said, maybe you'll get rehab. He cares about the kid because
Yeah.
like
Yes,
he wants
yes.
him to be better. He want and not just like better as like good kid, bad kid, better as in like rehab will take some of this problem away and then we can figure out the rest of this stuff afterwards. Like, I don't know. Like, I
I
was upset with the dad complaining about the car, but like I think that's just at that point he's
Yeah.
like he just doesn't. He's a typical dad that doesn't know how
Because
to say stuff.
also I think the dad's like, you don't value anything. You don't value your car. You don't value your life. You don't value anything. And oh, I lost my thought. It's gone. Never mind.
I I had this thought because I was talking to someone about something similar today. But with Ray, I think there is a level of you can't get better in certain places because too much is a trigger and too much is just something that's going to set you off and all this kind of stuff. He is in the house where his mom died.
Oof.
He's still got this relationship with his dad, and it doesn't matter if his dad is maybe a good guy. There's stuff in their relationship that is a trigger for Ray. And Ray's coping skill is drinking. And because he was like, I don't know why everyone thinks I have an addiction. I was like, because you do, dude. I don't know what fucking
That
time it is,
blew my
but you got
mind.
that bottle. Yeah. And I was saying something. I was saying something to someone where I was saying that like one of the things I had to learn, and I know a lot of people had to learn, is no one is coming to save you. And I think this is something Ray is hoping for. He's waiting for
Mm,
the right person to notice, to say the right thing, to do that right thing that like strikes him, that does this thing. Like Mew came out of nowhere and like saved him. And Ray is waiting to be saved. And like one of the things I had to learn because it was something from childhood where I wanted someone to recognize the shit that was going on and see it and say, I've got you and I've got this. And but it doesn't happen. It didn't happen. And so what had to happen was I had to go, you know what? I have to do it because it's a shit and it's a mess and I have to get out of it and I have to do something. And if no one's gonna see it or if no one can see that I should be valued in this way, I have to know that I'm valued in this way. But Ray can't do that. Like Ray is literally, and he keeps telling people, "Thank you for saving me. Thank you for doing this. You saved me. You saved me." And I was like, "Dude, they can't. No one can save you, and you're waiting, and you're just waiting." And it's kind of, and I don't want that to be, because sometimes I say things about Ray, and then people are like, "You're right. He just didn't want to hurt people." I'm like, no, he wants to hurt people. He
oh yeah.
wants people to have pain, but he can also want someone to save him. Like the layers. People are onions.
So I was gonna say like this. I was trying to figure out like why the conversation around this is so frustrating for me, and it's because a lot of the through line are these like simple answers for a lot of these simple reasons, simple answers. And when I took a logic, some kind of logical thinking, whatever class in college, and one of like the big theme of that class is there are no simple answers to complex questions. And if you get a
Mm-hmm.
simple answer to a complex question, you should question it. And
Yeah.
so they have created this very intricate, detailed, complex work of art. That is what this show is. And to throw at me simple reasoning for all of this, well, they're just that guy. Well, it's just the way things happen this way. I'm like, no, and it may not be as crazy as some of our theories are, but at the end of the day, there's a level of complexity to these characters, and I
Yeah.
refuse to ignore that and land on a simple answer or a simple reason for everything they do. And I have faith enough that I just in my gut don't believe you're going to do this much complexity to leave us with simple answers at the end of the day.
Yeah.
There's 5 episodes yet left, and we've already gotten here. Like, if Mew was just the Mew that was simple, what's left for him?
Yeah.
Like, he just falls apart, and we just watch that for 5 episodes. No,
I'm
no,
with you on that.
not, no.
I think you would like riot if that was what.
It would.
If that,
This is their chance. This is the other thing. I'm like, this is JoJo and the writer's chance. This is their chance. This is bigger than like just a GMM TV show. Like, they're giving the opportunity with a large audience to make an impact and show the type of show they think that can be told. And I just don't think they're going to fall back on easy or simple. I don't know. I have enough respect for the two of them to not think it's going to be that.
Yeah.
Saying, I hope it doesn't bite me in the ass later. But
Yeah. I just feel like if this is the peak and it's really just simple from here on, it'll be such a disappointing show, and I don't get the feeling that they would make this a disappointing show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I think it's not going to be a disappointing show is there's a moment when Top goes to see Mew, and it's like people need to stop showing up uninvited at Mew's, because the dude actually does need to like think some things through.
Yeah.
But what there is a moment where Mew is like trying to really figure it out, like, can he be okay with this? And you see it. I really have to hand it to Forrest Book in this scene, because it's phenomenal.
It's so good.
And there's a Book is like, why did you do it? Right? And then Top is explaining. And we always said this was some bullshit. Like, that was the stupidest reason to have done this. And then Mew was like, right, because it's a hard thing. But he's not kicking Top out. He's not like super mad. He's not enraged. And he kind of like walks away. And then Top goes, hey, right now, I don't care if you hooked up with Ray. I just want to know what I can do to get you back. And in that moment, I was like, you are an idiot. You literally do not care about anyone than yourself. Like, you don't give a shit. How? Why would you think it would be okay to say that? And Mew snaps. You literally see this thing, and then he just turns, and he was like, what? Like, because it wasn't supposed to matter at all. Top couldn't go in there and be like, yeah, I'm really sorry. I fucked up. I was on drugs. I had been drinking. I, for some reason, thought it would be a good idea to listen to Boston in any capacity. And that's on me for being a fucking idiot. You know, I know better now. No, he didn't say any of that. He was like, I don't even care now if you hooked up with him. And I was like, that was the point, you fucking moron. Like, I honestly, when Mew like lit that on fire, I was like, burn them all. You only burned one? Burn them all.
Well, it was the point where I understood the rage level we were at, because he pulled it out and I was like, he's gonna rip it. And then he pulled out that flame and I said, oh, no. We're in the bad place now.
We have escalated.
And he just let it burn. And then he dropped it in the you saw my reaction. I was like, fire safety. Let's not burn everything down over this dude.
Then I remembered that they have tile floors, and I got significantly less. I was like, I forget that they have tile floors over there, but that's fine.
I felt relieved with the pan down, and it was like just cinders or whatever. I was like, okay, we're all okay.
I like that this episode of the one before, like, we literally got to see it lead up. Everyone's reactions, I was like, yeah, I see why you're at this point. Like, when Mew went into psycho mode, I was like, yeah, go into psycho mode. But what, honest to God, gave me shivers was when he showed up in front of Nick. And I was like, not Nick. Listen, I think Nick has been obsessed with Boston for ages. I think he's a stalker. He did all this kind of stuff. He left the audio recording in the car. Has he just been listening in?
He did.
Just been listening in on other stuff? Like, he's all of this, right? But he is doing his mess in his little corner. He's got his little corner. He's being crazy in his corner. Okay. And Mew fucking comes out of nowhere and was with crazy eyes and is like, do you want to get revenge on them? I'm like, hold the fucking, like first off, Mew, Boston hasn't done shit to Nick. Okay. Nick has done some shit, has pulled some shit. Boston,
that's debatable. You're making a statement that is debatable to a lot of people. I'm just going to say
I need it to be more like all these people backstabbing and betraying and all that kind of stuff. Boston has not done that to Nick. Has he been an absolute douche and like an asshole? Yes. And all of us have said this. Like, everyone has said this.
Clarify,
no, I know.
statements.
I know. So
they're like, what?
when Mew popped up like that, I was like, Mew, what the actual fuck? And then Nick was like, yeah, totally. Here's some dirt on him. And I also want to point out, no one knows anything about Boston in this friend group. They didn't know that he had someone record him. They don't know the shit going on with his dad. They don't know the other stuff happening. They had to go to Nick to figure out what is going on in Boston's life at this moment. Because Boston is just like the person who gets shit on in that group.
He's the party friend, not the talking friend.
Yeah.
But can I just say that that Mew convinced Nick that he was a victim.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel
Say
like
more.
To me,
my brain is not working. Say more. What do you mean?
Oh, I said that well, because Nick was upset, but he knew why he was upset. Like he knew why he was put in this position.
Yes.
Never did he feel that Boston had done anything to him other than he wanted more from Boston than Boston wanted to give him.
Got it.
So it wasn't until he was talking to Mew, like, first of all, the flip on Boston from Nick confused the fuck out of me because he was like, I will do anything to keep him to Sand. And then the next thing you know, he's talking to Mew, and Mew convinced him to give up the biggest problem in Boston's life. Like, how would that help Nick at all?
Yeah.
But it's because Mew, in his crazy eyes, convinced Nick that he was a victim. I don't know what Nick was supposed to get out of all this.
Yeah.
It's just gonna send, because he knows that if anything happens with his dad, like if Boston fucks up in front of his dad, he's getting sent to New York.
Yeah.
Exactly. This revenge thing, or like trying to get Nick on board, benefited Nick zero. There was nothing in there that was gonna like and this was kind of the stuff that got me.
It didn't go anywhere at the end, so
I was so pissed. Mew was like, "Hey,"
I was so mad. I was like, "What's with the almost thing?" I was like, first of all, that would have been too far. I didn't want him to actually do it, but like, I was like, why do all that work?
Theater. It was just
also
theater.
He didn't delete it from Gaps, so Gap still has it. He's just afraid now, and he has it on his phone and gave him the file on. I was like, so now there's 3 copies of these things just out and playing. I'm like, what is wrong with you people?
There's a moment where I think in this show we have to kind of realize that the person right now who stands to lose the most, and everyone has some shit on him, is Boston. And when I say like lose the most, and I don't mean because he's doing anything, and it's not even because he's doing anything, like he's not getting in a car and driving drunk, and you're like, oh, this is a consequence, like this would be like a, someone might get hurt or this could end really, really poorly. Boston was filmed without his consent, and everyone has info that could literally rip apart and destroy his entire world. He could be outed to the world because of his dad's standing. And I'm like,
so Keeks React did this video, and it's why I did my video the other week. And everyone's gonna deny it, but at the core, I feel like this is the unspoken thing that leads to a lot of the hate of Boston. Yeah. And they did a video basically saying, I'm tired of the slut shaming of Boston.
Yep.
Enough slut shaming Boston. And I asked my question, are you mad because you think Nick's his boyfriend? Because there's a level of rage reserved for Boston that no one else gets. And everyone's doing rageful things. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be pissed at him, but he gets set apart from everyone else. And I'm like, what is he doing that makes everyone rage more at him than everyone else? Well, he's being a bad friend. They're all being bad friends. I guess Mew's not. I don't know. But like, they're all messing up. They're all doing messed up stuff. But remember, each time they're like, "That's what you get for being a slut." The amount of times they have said everything that's happening to them is because he sleeps around, and I'm like, you should not be punished for sleeping around. Like you shouldn't be like, oh well, of course he's going to get recorded because he's sleeping with so many people. What? No, that's not how that works. He gets to sleep with as many people as he wants, and as much as he wants. And Keeks was like, he got crapped on because of the threesome, and they didn't even pay attention to the fact that the other person was willing to participate. He was not doing anything wrong in that moment. And so I think there is an unspoken thing that I don't, when I did that video, I was waiting, and everybody's like, no, it's like they knew. It was really interesting because the comments knew that's what I was getting at, and they're like, he's not his boyfriend. Yes, we know, but he's just a really bad friend. And I'm like, okay, okay, sure. Are we just going to ignore the fact that people are uncomfortable with the fact that he's not monogamous with Nick?
Yeah.
He's not willing to be a boyfriend. That angers people. It makes them angry in a way that's unparalleled with the others.
It is. You made me just something click in my brain as you said this. The other thing is his relationship with Nick. I know that people are like mad at how he reacted to Nick and he like shoved Nick, but Nick is the only person who knew everything about him at this point. Nick is the only person who he was talking to, who is doing all this stuff with. Sand and Ray, they like, do they even have a friendship? Like, it is so debatable on these people, on their relationships. But Boston and Nick actually had substance and had all of this stuff there. It makes sense to me that Nick would be devastated that all this stuff goes down, because Boston and Nick were not just a little like, oh, show up or do this or they weren't a thing. They were the closest thing to committed you could get with Boston, because Boston says he doesn't exactly want that. And so to me, when he like lost it in there, I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. It's one thing for Gap to record Boston, and he even said he wouldn't be that upset, but Nick did it. Nick, who knows how he feels about everything. Nick, who he has let get closer and closer and all this kind of stuff. And Nick knows it. And Nick's also devastated, right? Because he didn't want this to happen. So then, like, they were heartbreaking to me because they were the ones for me who actually had substance between them. And they just got their shit torn apart by everyone else's mess.
I think that's also something I think people missed in this. Nick really kind of revealed this episode. He was never recording him to get him, to hurt him, to harm him. Everyone saw that recording with their rage of Boston as like, yeah, you're going to use that to get back at him. Yeah. He's taking Boston down. And when you hear him talk about it, he was just like, I was terrified and I needed to know if you were still getting back. And he was only focused on Top. Did you hear that? He still is fully aware. Everyone keeps trying to convince me that he thinks Boston's monogamous. And I do not think that's true. I don't think Boston, they're like that time in the pool. I was like, he said, maybe I want to settle down a little more. He never promised monogamy in that pool. He's never promised monogamy. And Boston knows it. Boston's worried about Top because Top had an actual impact, or Nick is worried about Top because Top had an actual impact on Boston. So Top is the only person he sees as a threat. He knows the other people are just people he's sleeping with, and he knows who Nick or Boston is. Like,
No, I felt bad. There were so many people who just got impacted by, like, this friend group specifically are just fucking up. They're screwing up Sand and Nick and fucking. I don't understand how Top emerged from this sober. Like, there's so much mess going on and everyone is being dragged through shit, and Top's like, I'm clean. Like, what? How is that?
And crying in the bed, sad dancing memories.
Yes, I'm watching this and I was like, I am going to be furious if Top leaves this situation a better person and like Nick and Sand just get dragged through absolute hell. I'm like, but it would happen that way. Let me just say, the hot, wealthy dude who's like, oh, my God, would be the one who comes out on top.
I think they tried to show that by him not calling his dealer when he was struggling. Frantically, when he was frantically trying to draw and then he threw the paper, he stared at his phone And everybody was like, "Oh, well, he wanted to talk to Mew." And I was like, "Or he wanted his dealer."
That's what I thought it was too.
Heatherly, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was too. He didn't call his dealer, and I said, "Oh, good job, Top. Like, way to
Yeah, I was like, "Good job."
go."
Why you have to throw everything? I don't understand, but good job.
It was. I swear to goodness, it will. If this is going to be a story about friends and all this and kind of privilege, that dude would end up on top and like okay. It's probably why Sand can't stand the guy, because always at the end he's just like,
coming
okay.
because he keeps just showing up and being better somehow.
When he showed up, they were like, Chom was like, okay, we're just going to put our personal stuff aside. We got to do this project, guys.
And in walks personal stuff. Chom's like, God damn it.
We need to
give up. Spraying him with water. Shoo shoo.
But this was another moment where I could, like, Boston is so sick of everyone because Ray was like, you have Boston now, go be with him. And Boston's like, we're not together. Like, we don't have each other.
So messy. Yeah.
They have no clue, because everyone is like, oh, this is the other thing that really got to me was Chom was like, should I call Boston? I'll yell at him and I'll tell him all these things. And Mew goes, no, he's never going to see what's wrong. Like, it's Boston. This is what he's always like. And then when he shows up, and I get it though, because it's still infuriating, even if it happens. He shows up, he's like, just yell at me, guys. Let's do it. Yell at me and be mad. And they're like, no.
Yeah. So can I just say, when Chom was actually starting to frustrate me a lot.
Yeah.
She has from the giddy up.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think I agree. I was like, she's always been a little confusing for me, but in particular, like the things that she wanted to yell at Boston when she's like, what, I'll yell at him. I'm like, that is not related to anything that's happening at this moment. Two, why she turns into this innocent, oh, I really thought Top was a good guy. I knew that he was a playboy, but I was like, please listen to the things you're saying before you say them. Because, like,
makes me insane.
What is wrong with you? Or it's like each time she started yelling about something, like she would start talking and I was like, oh, she's just super innocent and has no idea what's happening between all these boys. And then she'd start yelling. I was like, you should not be yelling at something that you understand nothing of. So, like, the time when she said that she was going to yell at Boston and when she actually was yelling at Boston, when he was in the pool and, like, I was like, you are yelling very, very not related things. Like, these are not related to the problem that's at hand. If you were yelling about your guys' friendship, yeah, but it's back to the whole, like, slut shaming thing stuff.
That is her thing with him.
Why are you so obsessed with the fact that he can sleep around? Like, I do not understand.
But even Mew, this was the thing again. It happened fucking again. Okay, so it was as Chaos was saying, and then someone in my comments said, like Mew did that so he could feel superior to Boston. Yeah. And I was like, oh, yes. And like, but one of the things is I've said it over and over again. I'm like, why the hell does Mew keep saying this shit about Boston? Why is he like, I don't just sleep with someone. I'm not Boston. Like every single day is like, I'm not Boston. I'm not this, or I'm not that. It is. And I was looking at him like, what the fuck is everyone like? What is your deal with Boston? Why is this such a thing?
Also, he kept multiple times. He kept asking Top, "Did you and Boston plan this?" Like, why is that where his mind would go? He said it multiple times. I know what you're doing. I know you guys planned it. You were just laughing at me and my inexperience. And I'm like, what? Why is that where you went? Why was this a master plan? Why is that where your brain goes and stays?
Yeah.
Just like, is that a thing that Boston does? It was so weird because he just seems to be vibing and like, I don't feel like he has a plan about anything. He's just like going through life, doing the things.
Yeah.
Letting the chips fall where they may.
He's very much just like we all weren't just like casually doing all this stuff. Come on, guys, let it roll off your shoulder. And I get why that is so frustrating. Yeah. But then when they're coming in, they're like, oh, you planned this with him. I'm like, at what point has Boston ever given you the impression that man plans shit?
And what does he get out of it? What
did he get out of it? And he said to Ray, he goes, he chose me. Or did he say it to Mew? To someone, he said to Mew, he said, he chose me. And I think that has to do with the superiority thing. Like Mew is now stared in the face with the fact that the man who he was like, oh, I'm going to commit to, chose Boston first
So
and
what
hooked
the
up
hell
with
is
him.
going on with these people?
I don't know, but
out there, it is not just surface. Like there's some real deep issues they have with each other that is dated back to some previous stuff we don't know about yet.
oh, but I'm going to throw it out there right now. I am now team Sand and Nick. That was such a touching moment. They need to be together forever. Leave everyone behind.
We're not
I don't
into
agree,
each
but it
other.
was a touching moment.
Forget the friend group. Go
It
be
was
happy together.
Pinong. It was
Move
very much
on.
Pinong.
It was
It
very
was not.
Pinong. I will
Listen,
say though,
let
I
it
want
be
to
more
know.
people. Go for the person who respects you. Listen to me, okay?
I'm all for them both leaving the friends. I'm not all for them both being together. Okay.
I'm 1000% for this ship. Let it happen. I want to see.
She just
Please.
wants to put Mark with everybody.
Okay,
Can I
first
just
off.
say I want to know why everybody keeps protecting Sand so much. Why does nobody
Who's everybody?
admit? Well, Nick refused to say anything about it coming from Sand.
Yeah.
That was interesting. Yeah, it was a choice, and I wasn't quite sure why.
I was like, Ray did the same thing, and I understood why Ray did it, kind of, but I don't understand why Nick did it.
He really was doing because Sand knows.
Because Nick could have totally said, "Yeah, I did it. I fucked up. Because he still was gonna get in trouble. But he totally could have been like, I wasn't the one that shared it with Ray or Mew.
Yeah.
He's like, I was keeping it for myself. I needed the information for me. I wasn't gonna do anything with it. I just had it for me. He totally could have done that and say, Sand though literally stole it from my phone.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know if it's just like these people are loyal to the one person that they think is loyal to them, but they've just watched him do it.
Yeah, but like Sand wasn't loyal. Sand smashed his phone. That was diabolical what Sand did. These are some extreme measures these people are taking to do the dirt they do.
That was.
I just thought it was interesting that he keeps getting protected by people when it's not that I need him to be in trouble. I just find it very interesting. Most people have a self-preservation thing where when they're the ones getting yelled at, they'll be like, but it was him, not me. Like, kind of like how Boston was like, I wasn't the one that said anything. It was Ray. Like, but everybody keeps protecting Sand, and I just really want to know why.
This reminds me, the funny moment was when Top comes to Boston's and then is like, why would you record us? And Boston is like, I literally don't even know what you're talking about. And then Top is like, Mew played the audio from a recording of us in the car. And then it hit me. I was like, oh, Boston did not know about the audio. This man is being hit with all the facts. All he knew was that someone knew about them. And it was very funny to watch in this moment because I was like, the confusion on Boston's face as he is like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I forgot that when Ray confronted him, he just said that you guys had sex in the car. He didn't say how he knew.
Yeah.
Yep. And like I said, there were no tinted windows. It was out in public. Of course, Boston would be like, yeah, someone probably just walked by and saw us.
Yeah.
And it was, no, there was a listening device.
I need to still know. I'm still bothered by the video. I won't let it go because they keep talking circles around it and it's irritating me.
Yeah.
And until I see it, and who was trying to like convince me that it didn't matter. And I'm like, no, it does matter. Why are
people
we
are
not
making decisions based off of it? It matters.
Because Ray wouldn't actually deny it. Mew was like, I wouldn't do that. And one of the things that we were saying is if the point of view, I don't know if the point of view thing is a real thing, but if the closing credit person is their point of view, then of course, in Mew's point of view, he's perfection. He never would have done that. So he's not going to admit to it. But we still don't have we still have people like Boston saying, no, you slept with him. You have Ray not denying it. That was so weird to me that Ray wasn't like, I didn't sleep with him. It was just kissing. Like, I feel like people add text to this story to explain things away that haven't been explained yet. And I'm not willing to do that. If you're just like of course, Boston would say that because he's horrible, Boston, and Nick didn't want to touch it, but Mew said he didn't do it, and it's a red herring, the video. And I'm like, I don't feel like that's what's happening here. And I refuse to just ignore the video. Why were we not allowed to see it? We saw other videos. We saw Boston's video.
Multiple times.
Why didn't they let us see this video? What's the point of not showing it to us?
I also feel like
bothers me.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are struggling with the lack of continuity because we are getting different POVs, so the continuity between stories and timelines aren't the same. And I personally feel like what I keep saying is that people are getting confused because they'll say one thing, they're like, well, no, it was clearly this, and I was like, but that was a different POV. So to them, that was what that was.
Do you want to know something funny? Do you know what stayed consistent throughout everything?
Yeah, everybody thinks she's vapid, apparently.
Who?
Chom.
Yeah, I could see that. The thing that stayed really consistent through is Boston and his insistence that there is something wrong with Mew and Ray's relationship. This has been, anytime this has been something Boston focuses on, he constantly pushes it. And he has been right. Like, I don't know why he fixated on Mew and Ray and why it matters to him. Like, I don't know that because it's like their thing. But in last episode, he told Ray, he was like, if you tell Mew, you're as much an asshole as I am. And the thing is this, and I know there's the whole thing of like, did he cheat? Did he not cheat? But Mew even said, like, I only said yes to you so you could save face. So we're going to kind of start over. You have to actually win me over. You've got to do all this stuff. And another thing he said was, you can't be hooking up with other people. If you hook up with other people, tell me. This was the thing. And he said, I don't think you can do it. Mew expected Top to not do it. And Top failed. And where he fucked up was he didn't go and tell Mew, hey, I actually did end up hooking up with another person. That was a whole conversation that they had about like the point they were at. And they weren't even dating. Like they weren't even dating at that point because Mew later on is like, oh, this will be it. And so like, when Ray gives the info to Mew, granted, everyone else thought they were dating because they just saw Mew say yes. But
when Top was telling people they were dating.
Because Top kept calling them boyfriends. That's why.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's Top. Mew would
That's
always say we're not Mew boyfriends.
Yeah.
But people just kind of went with the fact that Top kept calling them that. I'm like, that's not how that works.
And it was everything about it. Like when Mew asked Ray, Top about it, and he was like, oh, when did it happen? Top was like, hey, it happened like before. And then Mew was like, oh, and it didn't happen again. And he's like, yeah, it happened again. It was in that time. And does Mew still get to be pissed? Yes. Mew still really does get to be pissed. Yeah. But it was in this time where I'm like, I don't know how to explain it, but all this stuff that's coming out and around it and all this stuff. And Mew even said, like, why couldn't it have been just like anyone else? Like, why did he expected him to hook up with someone? And I said from the beginning, it's because it was Boston. Literally all of this is always because it's Boston. I forget where I was heading with this. I had a point about Mew and like, I literally had a point about Mew that I was trying to make with like his whole like thing that he's caught up on. Is that people keep letting people believe things about the situation. Like they're just like Chom throughout this whole thing is like, my friend slept with my friend's boyfriend and my other friend tried to tell my friend and then he got punched in the face. And I'm like, that is not how any of this shit happened. And no one cares to clarify because everyone just wants it to fit what they want it to fit. And what was it? This was it. And Boston from the beginning has been like, these two, Mew and Ray, they have a weird thing going on. I don't know what it is. And at the end of the episode, we get their weird thing again. And I was like, the fuck you two. Like, I
need to know. Sorry, go ahead, Heather.
No, go ahead.
I need to know, is this Mew really rebounding or is he continuing to take people down? I cannot tell at this point what his
take down Top
anymore.
I kind of wonder if Mew is the one who calls the cops. on
Oh,
the party.
So I can see maybe
I
Mew, but
don't
I
think
also
so
see
because
the
it's at the
Sand thing.
hostel.
They set up Sand to be the one by talking to the dad. The dad
Yeah.
asking Sand, "Hey, can you do me this solid? We got to get him into rehab." But I
Yeah.
thought you said, Shannon, the laws there are like really horrible. Like that feels like it would be like real bad. This
If
is
you
the
are doing coke, yeah, it is. It's really serious. Really serious.
I don't know. The dad might be extreme enough to do that for drugs.
I mean, he might, yeah.
I was wondering if Mew is still in the taking everyone out stage. So like he wants to take out Ray. Like if he just suddenly does not give a shit about anyone. So he wants to take out Ray. He wants to take out Boston. He wants to take out Top. I could see him calling the cops and setting Ray up in this way to get taken out.
Isn't this party at the hostel though?
Yeah, but that was all done for Ray. And they've
And
already got
his
their school portion.
not yet, because that was
No,
the
they're
whole
not
point of
done
the
yet.
conversation at the end, that he still wanted his top
Yeah,
tier,
they
whatever
haven't.
the big
Hmm.
graduation thing is.
Yeah, they
Like
haven't
he
done
wanted
the
his,
presentation.
yeah, they still have to do stuff for it. And that's why they were having that whole conversation about, are we going to continue this hostel thing? And he's like, well, I still want my thing, kind of like that he gets out of
Yeah.
it. So I
And-
don't think he wants to burn down the hostel yet.
right.
So that's the
And
only reason I'm thinking it's not Mew. But like Sand doesn't give a fuck about whether their hostel goes well or not. So like it could be Sand. Like I could see that.
he could be legitimately like trying to help. He looked sad when he saw Ray and Mew, so there's still feelings there.
Oh, I didn't think those were gonna go away anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was heartbreaking though. I'm not gonna lie. Like
It made
watching
my
that,
skin crawl
I
seeing
was
them
like,
dance together.
not only am I uncomfortable, but then they pan to like, I was uncomfortable because I was like, first of all, is this Top imagining what Mew and Ray are doing, or
That's what
are
I
Mew
thought
and Ray
too.
actually doing this? Like that was a confusion thing for me. And then, um, I saw it pan to Sand, and I was like, oh Jesus! I was like, I was not prepared for that level of emotion suddenly.
I also have to kind of I'm realizing like you have hard lines, Shannon. I have hard lines about things it doesn't come off in a way that so with Ray, I'm like Ray should not be in a relationship with anyone. And when people argue with me, I was like, there's a reason why when you're in rehab, you cannot be in a relationship. And I feel like that's just crystal clear. And I'm not being mean. I'm like, no, he's not in a place yet. He's not even in recovery. And I get hit with a lot of people can love him out of it, or maybe he just needs that person. And I'm just like, no, no. But I realize that there are people where that feels hurtful for me to say that, or they think that I am reducing him to his addiction, and I'm not seeing him as a person, and it's unfair to him. And it is hard for me to articulate that that is absolutely not what I mean. I mean, it is not healthy or safe or good for him or that other person for him to enter into a relationship at that time. And if they really care about him and he really cares about them, then they can wait for him to get through recovery and then reconnect afterwards.
Yeah.
But they are not his path of recovery. Or maybe they
Yeah.
are. Wait, did Shannon freeze for you?
Yeah,
Okay.
but
I just need to know
she's
if
good
it's
now.
okay. So I don't know. I just feel like I get misunderstood when I talk about it, or maybe
I get it.
people don't want to
get it.
understand it. I don't
I
know.
sometimes wonder if people don't realize that you can be supportive and in love with somebody and still not be together until certain recovery things have ended. They think that if you love each other, you can be together and you go through rehab. But the thing about going through rehab is that it's to focus on yourself, because you might be a different person when you walk out of it. And
Yeah.
so like
Yes.
So basically, what needs to happen is you can have somebody that's there and you love them and you go into rehab because you love them. And then they can love you and support you through the rehab. But that does not mean that you are a couple or that you are together or that you, because when you come out, that might not be how it goes. They can still love you and support you, but then you have to reevaluate who you are.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people aren't taking his alcoholism seriously enough.
No,
I just
It is.
it's bothersome to me.
it's scary.
What kind of gets me is Ray is a character who, you know, we've seen he's has depression. He's suicide attempts. He has the alcoholism. He struggles with drugs, and there's all these things. And I think he's someone very relatable for any of us who maybe have mental illness or have struggled with suicidal thoughts or ideation or all these sort of things. He's very relatable. And the other characters we haven't been seeing that much from them on these ends. Like, we're not going to look at Sand to be like he's got depression, or like Boston and be like he's also, so he's someone who it's very much we can put a lot of the things we relate to into this character. We can see it. But one thing for me, he's a very difficult character for me because a lot of the stuff he's done and a lot of the things he embodies has actively hurt me and cost me people in my life. Like, and I was telling Kelly this, so this will get more intense. I guess I should put like a trigger warning talking about someone dying. But it is hard for me to watch these scenes where Ray drinks and does drugs and all this stuff and then fights people to get into a car and drive off. I lost someone to being hit by a driver. This is stuff, that shit is hard. And it's not that I look at Ray and I'm like, I hate you, I hate this, but I'm looking at so many of the decisions he's making and it's hard for me to watch. And also because I relate to him too. I've struggled with a lot of the stuff he has. But it's also very frustrating for me to then go and see so much of the discourse around Ray and be like, Mew is using him as a rebound. And I'm like, Ray almost killed people. He got into that car. He almost killed people. And maybe you haven't lost someone like this, so it's not going to hit you that way. But it is, these are things where I was like, I just want there to be a consequence. And I don't want the consequence to be, because Sam told him, like, you could be a murderer. If you had hit someone, you could be a murderer. I don't want that to be his consequence, but let him lose his license. Let him get into rehab. Have his dad cut him off financially so he doesn't have like the money to do the stuff. I don't know what will help, but it's so frustrating to watch him and then to just see a song of things come in about how he's not understood. No one wants to help him. His friend group is awful. And I'm like, ooh, the shit that happens around him is hard.
But also, his friend group is awful. I was thinking about this week, and I felt like Sam was the only one holding the line with him because, okay, they don't drive him home sometimes, but they still keep him in their circle. They excuse a lot of things. Like Mew yells at him, but there aren't real consequences. He just threatens them. He never follows through. Oh my God. Mew is a lot of talk and not follow through.
Yeah,
that is who he is, because he's always, Ray, if you do this, this is the last time. And then he's like, well, do you think Ray and I will stay friends after this? Like with the top thing, like he switched so fast. Ray never really has to pay for any of the destruction he causes. And Sand was like, no, this is not okay. And I'm going to tell you all the reasons why. And he hit him with some reality. His dad hit him with some reality. Those are like the only two people. Even Boston is just like, bah, he's an alcoholic.
But it is because they don't do this. But we said this from Mew. We pointed out that Mew, I had made it when my video about Mew. I said Mew is someone who was horrible with boundaries. He should never have kept Ray as his emergency contact when he told Ray, I can't keep being yours. That whole thing with Top where he was like, oh, we're not doing this. I'm not comfortable with this. They put a cookie in his mouth and was like, eat it from my mouth, and then lean forward. He moves the line. He's always moving the line. And then once again, at the end of this episode, he's like, I know I told you to just see me as a friend, but I can tell you haven't been able to. And Ray's like, I haven't. He's like,
I was so angry.
Maybe it's you. Yes. I've said this. I've had friends who have dated someone, okay, who have a person in their life like Mew. And I have told my friend, your relationship will be sabotaged and it will disintegrate if your significant other's relationship with that person is not addressed. If boundaries are not put in and held and all this kind of stuff, because that is the person waiting on the sidelines who keeps them in their back pocket just in case, who doesn't want to let them go because they make them feel good.
Well, the thing that really bothered me, like as we're talking about it, it's making me even more upset. Is you understands how untethered Ray is, how he can find him in the tub at any minute. He understands that's where Ray is, and still he does this in this moment when everything's a hot mess, when emotions are hot, when Ray is not okay, and he knows Ray is not okay, and it feels, oh, God, makes me mad. Like, what are
Yeah.
you doing right now?
Because so like I'm not putting the blame on Mew for Ray's situation. Like I want to clarify that now before I continue. However, he's not helping it. And I'm not saying
No.
he's not helping it in like he's not making sure he goes to rehab. I mean, he's literally making it worse.
Yes, before he was not making it worse. Now, actively
Yeah.
making it worse.
Yes. And that was my issue because I was like, I understand what's happening. I understand that you're hurt and he's there and he's your support. And I understand that it's nice to be loved and you know that you'll be loved. But like, exactly, like you even addressed it in the statement, exactly how Ray feels about you. And this is
Yeah.
after you've already tried to encourage him to date Sand, actively was with somebody else so that he would date somebody else, told him you cannot be anything more than friends. And then you bring up the fact that you said we can't be more than friends and then turned around and said, well, maybe I can be more than friends. Like you literally took back everything you just told him that was a boundary that he was semi accepting. Like he wasn't
Mhm.
happily accepting it, but like he assumed that's where your boundary was. And then you turn around and take it away from him when he is just solely focused on you.
Mm-hmm.
How is he supposed to believe anything you say or that he needs to move on or that he needs to focus on himself if you're literally like, now I need your attention, so you maybe I can change it and we can do more. Like, dude, you're not helping him. You're making
Yeah.
it so much worse. I was like,
You would
I was so mad.
even in the bathroom where he was like, "Were you in the bathroom stall getting high?" And Ray just
Mhm.
kind of like stands there, and then 3 seconds later, he's like, "Yeah, I'll always be here. We'll always be friends like this." I was like, you can't say shit like that. You catching this dude doing these things, and you're like, you're not gonna live to see 30. I'll always be here for you. I'm like, oh my god, it is very, very fucking frustrating. So frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
All the
get why Boston is fucking over those two. I'm going to be
Yeah.
honest. At this point in
Yeah.
the show, I'm like, you know what, Boston? Okay. If that is what you have been having to put up with for how many fucking years, I kind of get it. Kind of get it.
Well, Boston is biding his time. He has made it clear. He is already 1 foot out the door. He's halfway to New York because he's
Yep.
walking, and that's another reason why he can just be so blasé about everything because he knows these aren't lifetime friendships, and he's out. These aren't
Yeah.
lifetime relationships. These aren't lifetime friendships. He's about to be gone, and so he doesn't need to hold on or connect to anything. Not fully.
Yeah,
And
if this was
they call him a
Muse
slut all the time, so why should he?
if this was Muse POV, it makes sense why it looks like he was so upset for losing his friends. Because like the fight between him and Nick, he specifically mentions that he made him lose his friends. And
Mm.
I was like, I mean, yeah, I guess, but at the same time, like once we found out that it was Muse POV, I was like, it would make sense that he would bring that up in a fight with Nick, because I don't think it was actually
Yeah.
something that he like. I don't think he wanted to fight with them, because if he wanted to fight with them, he would have brought that shit up a long time ago.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
I was like, but I think at the same time, it wouldn't have been as much of a trigger for in a conversation if it wasn't for it being Muse POV.
There, I have to say this about Boston. The man is ballsy. He literally showed up at that hostel knowing that they all know and just walked in and was like, "Sup, guys? What do we got to do? Tell me what you got."
Yeah.
And Kelly, I made the video where I mentioned last week you said Mew entered that water like Boston, like a thing from Boston's Nightmares. When we had the whole scene, it really did look like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This was
Talk about how Mew was drowning him. Everyone is glossing over that.
drowning him.
Yeah.
You were trying to kill me, and he was like,
Yeah.
why is no one like the things that it is so wild having conversation with people in comments and in reality that so easily can like skirt around these very serious things that are happening and like explain them away to like,
Mhm.
no, well, it's just what people do. And I'm like, I would never drown a friend.
I'm not going to try and drown anyone. Like, it would take so much for me to even reach that point. It would have to be like a self-defense type thing. I'm just not holding someone underwater.
You're trying to explain to me in one breath that his morals are too high. He wouldn't use the tape, but he was trying to murder him just a while ago. Like, which one is true? Who is he?
Pick one.
Really?
Just pick
I'm
one.
having a hard time. I'm having a hard time with Mew.
I am really having a hard time with you. And also, after an attempted drowning is when he goes to Nick and is like, he literally looked strung out and was just like, what can I use against Boston? What would absolutely destroy him? I'm like, well, okay, so I guess drowning him didn't work. So now we're going to go straight to destroying the man's fucking world.
And what he did was as out of pocket as Stan stomping his phone. Like, this is legit out of pocket stuff. It's not like it's just realistic, guys. It's just how it goes. I'm like, no, I don't know people. I know people, but this is a lot.
So I watched Mr. Cinderella, and in one of my reaction videos, I was like, listen, you get one crazy felony like X. That friend group has so many people. This little group we've seen has so many felony level crazy individuals that I am like,
how do you manage it?
And you got too many in a group.
They give me like low-key Suicide Squad vibes. Like each one of them is a different level of crazy. You're just like, what?
And they keep trying to convince me Mew's the one. He's the like centerpiece that keeps everything. I'm like, that is the wrong centerpiece. That man is not okay.
At this point, the only thing that's going to convince me that these people all stuck together is because something traumatic happened to them a few years ago, and they've just been friends since. There has to be some, because I'm like, it's not because you guys like each other.
How did they end up friends? Why? When they said 2 years, I'm still stuck on Boston holding on to that information for 2 years. Do you know what kind of seething contempt you have to? Because he was waiting to use it. He was waiting for his moment to use it against them. What the hell happened?
This is what I'm saying. Because listen, like attracts like, right? So Boston holds on to this for however long. Mew did not go into psycho mode until he was wronged. Sand went into psycho mode when he was wronged. So how did Boston get wronged? That sent him into that mode where he was like, let me whip out my pictures and videos and all this kind of stuff. There's a perceived wronged like somewhere. And I want to know why and what it was. Because maybe we'll add some fucking clarity to all these people.
So if we go back, he introduces Top. Like, he brought this drama to himself. Like, dude, you brought him in this group. But he didn't think it would go down the way it did. He was just playing with people. It was like a little toy. He's a cat, and he's like, I'm going to throw this toy into the group and have a little fun. I'm going to mess with Ray's head. It was clear that that's what he wanted to do. I'm going to mess with Ray's head and like hope that this Top Mew thing, stirs things up a bit, because Mew is not supposed to be the type of person who would actually give Top a chance. So it was supposed to be a non-starter. But then it started, and he's like, the hell is going on right now? This is not the fun I planned to have. And so he's like, I'll shut it down. I'll go back up in there and be like, yo, Top, what you doing? I know who you are. Let's get it on. We'll, stop this silliness. The Mew isn't even the type of fun you like. Like, why are you doing this? And Top's like, I'm gonna change my MO. And Boston's like, the hell? So then he goes to Mew and he's like, I'll shut it down this way. Because he actively kept trying to shut this down. And he goes
Yeah.
to Mew and he's like, look, I know you're not into this Top dude. And anyway, he's only going to drop you in 3 months. He drops everybody in 3 months. And that didn't work. Mew was like, okay, I'm just going to keep going. See how long it takes him before he drops me. I'm going to string him along. This will be fun. And Boston's like, damn it. What are we doing here? And then he tries in the bathroom to get to Top. And it's not just getting to Top. It is shutting this thing down that he started, that he did not mean to go this far. And it's less fun because it's not what his intentions were. Then he like sleeps with him in the car. I mean, he takes it as far as the car. I feel like the car was the last straw. Like he was like, I'm gonna make this go down. Now I can't explain him coming back after the car.
Well, he even
is that the elevator?
Yeah,
he said to Top, he was like, look, you said you weren't into me, so I stopped. I was like, dude, I thought that was said to you like way earlier.
Many times.
So
actually.
I think it was definitely just about getting Top. Like,
but then he
what the
went
fuck
back
happened between them?
because he said he was done. So I can't trust anything any of these people say because he got his one time. And that should have been enough. But then he came after him again in the elevator.
Because it was Mew. There's something there where he was like, he chose me. He looked Mew dead in the eyes as Mew is fucking blackmailing him and says, Top chose me. And I was like, what happened? You're being blackmailed right now, and that's what you're trying to like needle point in.
And I still can't get over his flashback to Top. His flashback to Top, he was not the Boston we see today. What turned him into this Boston? Was it Ray?
I want to meet the X. Yeah.
Huh?
Want to meet the X. It looks like Papang's coming in the next episode. Who the fuck does Mix play?
There's something
Is
we don't
Papang
know.
supposed to be the X?
Because he says to Sand, I want to start over. I thought that's what he was saying, right?
I'm going to say this. If Papang is the X and Nick fucking hooks up with him, Sand is just getting screwed over right and left. Like, this is just...
But he says that to Sand, right? And they go to kiss?
To Nick.
Oh, no. I thought he said to Sand, I'm ready to start again.
Wait, say what?
Papang
was talking to Sand, not Nick.
No, he was talking to Nick.
Nick.
What?
Like, Nick is sitting at the table with him. It's some sort of like internship or something.
Oh, I thought he was talking.
So he could just be the head of the internship and is not the ex. He's just someone who's being involved with Nick. Which, by the way, do it. Make Boston lose his absolute mind. I'm all for
get laid by somebody else to make sure you actually want to keep going with Jackrabbit. I don't know.
Yeah. Nick, I love yourself. That's what I said. I was like, you know what Sand told to Ray? Someone needs to tell him. He needs to say it to Nick too. Love yourself, boo. Love yourself.
I like how Nick is like, I can't stop now. I'm in love with him. I was like, what was your excuse previously? When did the love start? Because there was so many moments.
I think he was obsessed early in that.
I agree.
It's not.
I agree.
And when he yelled that, I was like, no, you don't.
So when I was doing my reaction, I was like, say something, Nick. And he was like, I love you. And someone wrote in my comments, not that. They were like, say something else.
All of Nick's scenes were so pathetic and just so cringy. And
but I'm kind of convinced that's how everybody sees him, except for Nick.
His little lip tremble. I was like, don't tremble the lip. Damn it. I need everyone to stay away from Nick because like I said, is he a whole red flag and a horrible mess? Yeah, but it's in his corner. Okay. He's got his little focus of Boston. He's in his little corner and he is just trying to be his version of happy. It is not a good version, but that is where he is. And everyone is just shitting over this man. And I'm like, what'd he do to you? What'd he do to you? He's just trying to get with Boston. That's his only goal.
They really should have just let him take Boston off their hands. They really ruined it. Let Boston focus on Nick. He was focusing on Nick. He had stopped all of his tomfoolery. He
Yeah.
had shut. He was just like, all right, I tried. The fun I was having wasn't that fun
It was
anymore. I'm gonna
But I
go
think
be
I
with
think
this dude.
everybody is. I don't think anybody has really caught up with the fact that though Boston has stopped, they're still seeing like they're just now knowing what he did at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like they're not caught up to what it's not like they have a full on timeline of what he's done from the beginning till now.
Yeah.
But at the same time my brain is like if you guys were actual friends, you would know what he was doing
You would
from the
know.
beginning to now.
So why does Ray know about all his sexcapades but not his life? That too. What is their freaking relationship?
I don't know.
Because
Ray said that he tells him. And I'm like,
yeah,
is it just like when you guys are still sitting at the bar? That he just tells you all of his hookups and then he goes and hooks up
like
with
what?
somebody else
That's
at
what I
night.
mean. Like, what's their relationship? What is that relationship?
It's the most superficial relationship.
I really, I think, you know what? I got to see Boston and Ray's relationship because I'm like, you two are messy. This is the other thing. This is that type of friend group where I'm like, there's no way you all were not hooking up with each other. There's no way. Maybe the lesbian, okay, but
I saw
This
somebody
is the
thinks that
part where
Choom is Boston or is Top and Sand's ex girlfriend or ex.
wouldn't that be hysterical if that was the ex?
I don't know the way she talks. If Top broke
Oh
up
yeah,
with
you're right.
her, there's no way that she would still think
No.
that he's top
he's
tier.
top tier. Her
Because like it's not
obsession
like
with
he
top
was
is
top tier
weird.
men, but then I decided I liked women instead. Like that's not. I don't think that's how that goes.
I was gonna say, like, also when everyone like tells me how realistic it is, that's the part that is missing to me. If it's super realistic, all my friends slept with each other.
Thank you.
All of them
Yep.
did.
Yep.
And people
All
were
of them
crying
did.
over it, and it
Yep.
was making the friend group messy.
And not just
Yep.
slept with each other, they dated each other.
Yep.
They full on had relationships with each other. And so that's the part of the realistic that I'm missing. This idea that this friend group wasn't messing around. I don't for years. I don't know. And I'm not saying every friend group is like my friend group. I understand that. But for me, when I think of realistic, that is my perspective.
Yeah.
And this friend group and all this shit going down is so messy that I'm like, y'all had to be hooking up. Someone in here was hooking up with someone else because the level that is being brought for stuff is
I
that
think
kind
it's
of.
Boston and Ray.
Everyone is so I'm telling you, I'm saying it, and then people, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Mew knew what type of person he would become if he was in a relationship. I believe he and Ray hooked up, and maybe more than just hooked up for a while. And I think Boston's the only one who knows it went down. I don't know why.
I really wanted to be that messy because it would be great. That'd be some great cinema. And also it'd be very realistic because if you're trying to like hide this and you don't think everyone else knows, but there's one person who Boston acts like the one person who knows everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we said before of like what does virginity mean to people? Hooked up doesn't mean penetration. Maybe he never has done that. And so in his muse terminology, I've never done that. So yes, I was a virgin. But if Boston was watching and they were doing everything but in his mind, he just was like, of course they did. Because that's what I would have done. You know what I mean? So in his
Yeah.
mind, he's no longer a virgin. I feel like it could be something as simple as that. But I think there's more than kissing on that video.
Or else Top is still just that creepy dude who was like, well, I thought you were a virgin. Which I'm not gonna let that go. His reaction to whatever on that video was so over the top and creepy that I'm like, no.
I felt like I don't express myself clearly enough because with Mew, like I understand that they're showing this idea that virginity is not naivete and all this other stuff. I understand all of that. I am down for that message. I get that. What I am saying is he is smart. He has a lot of information, and it is hard for me to separate that from the way he's interacting with Top. It is hard for me, not because I think he's some ingenue. I get that. I'm not stuck in some stereotype of virginity. That's not why I think that. It's because of how he's written as a character who has been on point and paying attention to a lot of things, observing a lot of things. But I guess maybe the idea is he's observing everything but the relationship he's in. I don't know.
Can I just say something about his observation statements that freaked me out today? Well, not today,
Yes,
but when we
please.
watched it. When he was confronting Boston and he's like, I like that move. Can you teach it to me?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that
excuse
made
me?
my jaw drop.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, what? How did
That was out of pocket too.
I don't understand.
There's these little
There's so much in this
glimpses.
episode that I was so confused on. Or not confused, but just like, what?
Like it doesn't connect, and that's why he's so infuriating, because you get these little glimpses of this thing that's not the thing we're being told he is. I'm sorry that this idea that he's some moralistic high ground that like wouldn't actually pull the trigger on the stuff that was a lot of work he did to just
So
be
much
like,
work. So
never
much
mind.
work. What would he have done if, I mean, I think he knew that Boston would stop him, but how far would he have gone if Boston wouldn't have stopped him?
We're supposed to believe he's just a good guy, and he would never. The same one that was drowning him a few minutes ago. I'm sorry. Doesn't make sense.
No, I'm 100% with you. I don't know. I just
punching him and drowning him. It was a lot. It's probably the most violent interaction we've seen the entire series. Like, that was violent.
I get why after nearly being drowned by my friend, I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing in my living room? Like, that was so much more than just...
That was terrifying. When I realized, like, when it finally panned to, like, the dad, like, because it just showed him talking, and then it, like, slowly panned to the dad. I'm like, I'm sorry, sir, what are you doing in that house?
Terrifying.
Mhm.
I don't blame Boston for walking in like, I didn't invite you. And he's like, well, yeah. I was like, oh my God.
Like, you don't answer your phone. I'm like, oh, so then why are you here? Like, oh my God, Mew scared the shit out of me.
For me, I'm speaking for myself, not everybody else. I have not put anyone above anyone else. I don't like one person more than the other. I don't think someone's bad is bigger than the other, or someone's good is bigger than the other. Everybody usually, like, when trying to correct me in my thoughts, uses that as a way. I'm talking about my comment section because it gets on my nerves sometimes. And I'm just like, I'm like, I never said that one was better than the other. You are saying that. I didn't say that. You can't correct that part of me, because that's not how I visualize this group of people. There's no big bad for me. I didn't think Mew. Everyone's like, well, it's not like what we thought, that Mew was the big evil. I had several comments say that to me. And I was like, when did I say that?
Yeah.
I never said that.
No, we
That's
said
not
that
what I
we
thought.
thought that he wasn't as innocent as he believed. We
Right.
said that we thought that he had a different plan than everybody is implying that he has. Like, we never said he was a big bad, though he apparently thinks that he is in his villain era now.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say this.
I love that his villain era makes him look like Boston, though, in clothes.
Well, someone corrected me. They said he looks like Ray, and they did a side by side, and I was like, oh damn, he does.
Both of them, but the way he leaves it open, it looks more like Boston.
There's a picture of Ray wearing almost the exact same outfit, styled the same way, but a different type of shirt. It's literally, they did a freeze frame of, there's a segment where we see Ray getting dressed to go out, and then we see it is almost frame by frame shot the same as Ray's.
Yeah.
This chain going on, the shirt, everything.
I'm gonna have to go in like 5 minutes.
We've been on over an hour.
Oh.
It's 1:19. We actually went pretty. I was checking the time, like, oh, we're still doing this. All right.
I can hear the kids starting to get into battle mode with one another. So
No worries. We did good. I think we talked about a lot today.
I
I
also
agree.
wanted to just say that I laughed that Top Pat punched Mew, and I only laughed because there should have been no reason for him to be able. He wouldn't have been able to punch anybody else, so I don't know why he was shocked that he punched Mew. Mew
It
is
was a
literally
weird
the only
moment.
person in front of him, like within
Maybe he just
reaching
wanted
distance.
to let out some fumes and then be like, "Oh, I didn't realize it was you."
I was trying to hook around you.
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, I had to watch it twice because I'm like, who did you think you were punching? Because I mean, he was the only one there.
I hated that whole scene because I was like, "Stupid Ray is acting like a bodyguard, like a knight in shining armor," and then Mew's like, "Oh, you're like the only one who like helps me like this," and I'm like, I can't stand either of you at this moment.
It was
Mhm.
cringy.
But I want to throw this out there. Bravo, Cow and Book, because that was some intense chemistry in the
It
following scene.
was.
I was like, whoa.
Yep.
I love that they're mixing it up in this show and show
Yes.
they did it with Moonlight Chicken. They're doing it with this.
Yep.
It's helping maybe condition people to understand that these are actors.
Yeah. And they're
They're
doing a
good.
splendid
They're good.
job. Yeah. Mark broke my heart.
I'm sorry, I was
Book's
offended.
acting, the changes of him is
Yes,
phenomenal. Phenomenal.
yeah,
I
they're all doing
can't.
brilliant. I was gonna shade someone that's not in this show, and that's not fair.
Who?
Oh, but now I want to know.
That's not fair. He's gonna. It's part of the scene, and I'm gonna let it go. And next week, he's gonna it's gonna be fine. He's doing great though. I love his character. I fully enjoy him. I was just thinking of the chemistry is there. I need to leave this man alone. It's just that kiss. I am fully enjoying him as an actor. That kiss was a choice, and I'm just hoping it was a choice.
It's part of it coming from Only Friends where everyone acts like this is girl dinner when they're in a kiss scene and they're just like, we're going for this. This is amazing. This is everything we've wanted. And then you go to another show where you're like,
well, June Dunk is like chokes and eating each other's face off. So it's
And
not
down
just
off road
Only
or
Friends.
sticking fingers in each other's mouths. Like it's like
It's a lot.
everybody is on different levels, and then there's some that aren't on the level of anything.
yeah,
I think he's in character, and that's supposed to be. I'm just gonna let it go and hope for. We're gonna see.
yeah. They could save it. If they're like, if the next episode is like, why the hell did you kiss me? This was uncomfortable. That saves it.
Yeah.
That saves it.
Yep.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't happen again.
That's all we're hoping for here. Perth did his college try though. He went in, man.
Yeah. Perth was like, I'm going to make something happen. And Shimon was like, can you?
It was an awkward moment, so I'm leaving it at that. I'll let it go. I'm sorry, Chiba. You're a very good actor.
He is. He is a phenomenal
He is a
actor.
very good actor.
Good actor. I was just really shocked. And it's his first BL, so I'm just gonna let it go. BL kiss. Yeah. I'm gonna let it go.
But I have to go.
Yeah, okay. All right. Bye guys. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.